I'm proud of the fact that I took the risk, a lot of risks. The rewards were great. I'm proud of the fact that I was blessed with inner strength and that I am becoming, because it's always a work in progress, exactly the kind of person I wished I could be.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, a global community of women in midlife. I'm here to tell you that it's your time now to rediscover what has always been inside of you and bring that out into the world. If you're wondering what's next, but don't know quite what that is, or if you feel a twinge in your heart telling you that you have so much more to do and so much more to offer, you're in the right place. Ask yourself, if not now, when? Do you want to leave your job, start your own business, take control of your health, reignite the passion in your marriage, write that book, or at least that first chapter? Transitions like this can be daunting, but through listening to my story and interviews with incredible women every week, I hope to inspire you to take action. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of Power Purpose Play. We are a global platform which is dedicated to advancing the personal growth and inner power of women in midlife. Our goal is to help you rediscover yourself as you move forward in the next chapter of your life. To that end, I interview incredible women every week who will serve as inspiration for you and who will give you examples of how to face the obstacles in your way and take the first step towards reinvention. My next guest is no stranger to reinvention. I'm very pleased to introduce you to Jill Lubinski. After more than 30 years in the corporate fashion world in New York, Montreal, and Vancouver, and armed with in-depth experience in global marketing, client relations, and the art of negotiation, at the tender age of 60, Jill decided to go back to school and learn how to be a realtor. She had just returned to her hometown of Toronto after being away for over 40 years. She had traveled the globe for business, worked on Seventh Avenue in New York City for over 15 years, and decided it was time for a change. She wanted to be in charge of her own destiny and to be of service in some way. It turns out she could not have been better prepared for her exceptionally rewarding career in real estate. Jill is referred to as Toronto's house whisperer and continues to love her work as well as the people that she serves. Welcome to the podcast, Jill. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you, Kavita. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I just love your life story. And it's just, as from your bio, it's fascinating. You mentioned that you went from the corporate fashion world for over 30 years and reinventing yourself at 60. So that obviously begs the question, why did you decide to make the leap, and what led you to that decision?
The decision to make the leap was in part made for me. And I have a favorite expression, which is that necessity is the mother of invention. And that often pushes us into unknown territory, uncharted territory. And we may wonder why we are in this strange, unknown land. The universe has a way of letting us know in 2020 hindsight what a great path it was. So to be specific, I was in the C-suite of a large global public corporation out in Vancouver. And the decision was made to downsize. And so the president decided to take over my responsibilities. And that then led me to the decision, okay, now might be the time to come back to Toronto after all these years in the desert. And when I got back to Toronto, it was the first time, I was 59, I guess, at the time. It was the first time that I had been unemployed, if you will, since I was 21 years old.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So it's a strange feeling to wake up in the morning and not know where you're going or what you want to do. So I did make the decision that I did not want to work in corporate anymore. I wanted to have more control over my own destiny. So I met a woman with whom I partnered, and we created a business out of Brazil. And it was very exciting, but it was also very stressful. And while we had some wonderful results as a result of my relationships with Holt Renfrew and Saks Fifth Avenue in New York, we had quite an exciting time.
What type of business was it, Jill?
It's an import business, and we imported fashion and leather goods and children's clothing, and just amazing. It was amazing.
Nice.
And it's fun to do business in Rio de Janeiro.
I'm sure.
Tell you that. But unfortunately, I picked the wrong partner. And this is a very, very important component, as you can well imagine. If you must both be on the same page and the same track in terms of where the business is going. Since that was not happening, I decided to sell the business to her and then sit back. I actually got on a bicycle and I rode every single day.
Really? Wow.
Through the Beltline, waiting for some brilliant idea to come my way. And I made the determination that I was still going to work for me with no partner this time, really go solo. And I wanted a business that had no inventory. I was buying nothing. There were no markdowns. There were no financial surprises at year end. And the only two businesses I could think of was insurance sales or real estate. And so real estate was really what I thought might be more interesting, not because I love houses and interior decor or any of that, but because it would not be routine. You are up close and personal with your clients.
Yes.
And you have a much better prospect of producing shiny results and consistent results that way. So literally on my 60th birthday, I picked up the phone and registered for school. And I can guarantee you, I was certainly the most senior in the room.
That's amazing. What a great story.
It really was.
That's so inspiring, honestly, Jill. Many people would have said, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just retire or after so many years. But you didn't do that. You actually, and I guess that next question is about how did you muster the courage to do that? Because obviously you had this kind of safety net, I would say, in the work that you were in for so many years. And then, as you said, first you did the business with your partner, and then you said, no, I'll do this on my own. So that took a lot of courage. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot here is how do you muster that courage, and how would you advise women who maybe are thinking about something and hesitate because they have a lack of courage. So tell us about that.
Well, I can't say that I wasn't afraid. I definitely was. And I think the value that I can bring to this conversation is for women out there is that I am not a published author, not a rock star, not a famous person in any way, but one of you who has a challenge that needs to be met. Neither physically nor emotionally or psychologically or financially did I want to retire. That was not an option. So dealing with that, you've got to find a solution then. If those are not options, then what is the answer? And so that really is what was the wind beneath my wings. I was lucky enough. I did have some fortunate things happen. I was lucky enough to know someone in Chestnut Park, which is where I'm a registered realtor. I knew a woman who was a top producer. She and her daughters had a team. I went to see them and said, when I graduate, can I be a gopher? And literally, yes, the answer was yes. And they took me in. And I literally went from, just as you said, no safety net, from corporate vice president with bonuses, paid holidays, paid sick days, unemployment insurance, company perks, weekly salary in the bank, to none of the above.
Yeah.
And I remember my first day as if it were yesterday. And by the way, it's now over 15 years.
Amazing.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I fell in love with this job right away. And I earned nothing. I had been away, talk about challenges. I had been away for 40 years. So I had no database. I had no client base. I had friends and family who were wishing me the best.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of people who truly believed in me. And that is gas in your tank for sure. It is even more necessary than your own self-confidence, because that is lagging. That is one of those ugly, deep little voices. What am I doing? Why do I think I can? Who's going to trust me? All of those come up, of course.
Yes.
But it turned out that I was good at this. It turned out that the conversion of trust between me and someone that I had just met was not a difficult thing. It turned out that my soft skills in terms of meeting people, connecting with people, all of those things were really the skills that were needed. And one day at a time and one client conversion at a time, it started until what I have today.
Yes. I love just so many things that you mentioned. And in terms of, you said the wind beneath your wings, in terms of, I think that's so important. You talked about people who believe in you, and having that it's really important, because we have, when we want to make a change or transition, as I did in my career as well, if you don't have that support system or people who believe in you, then that's very difficult. So, if you don't have it, then at least try and find it. Try and find people. And the other thing that I really liked about what you said is you kind of, when you went on that bike ride, and I know that we've had this conversation before, but you kind of listened to signs, and you kind of were open to things, right? And that's what I feel sometimes when we're trying new things, or when we're figuring out what we want to do next, there's signs. So you listen to the universe and what comes up, right? So it seems as though that kind of...
That is...
Is that true?
Yes, you hit on something really, really important. I was a listener in training when I was on my bike. This was all new to me. I was kind of a knower, not a learner at the time. I was at the top of my game, of my former game. And now I knew that I had to develop something else inside me that was going to help guide me along, besides the goodwill and faith of my friends and family and all my cheerleaders. And that listening to the universe and looking for signs is something that I have developed particularly in the last 5 years. And what I will share with you there is, it will be almost 5 years ago that I became a widow. And the shift at that time, and my husband was ill for a long, long time. So it had been a long time that I had been managing the business, looking after him and running a house. So when I became a widow, that was a major shift, as you can well imagine. And that also turned out to be one of the most important periods of my life. Because I had to learn how to navigate on my own, like all widows do. But there was a lot more that had to be done. And this was a different kind of work, a different kind of training. And that was actually digging deep inside and not continuing to travel along my path with a stiff upper lip. The pain will go away. Everything's fine. I'm independent. I can do everything myself. I actually had to learn to undo all of that, unpack all of that, and learn to lean in, be vulnerable, to share. And the result of that, Kavita, is that today, not only have I attracted an entire new coterie of strong women friends, even during COVID, the connections with my clients is deeper and more substantial because I'm sharing with them. I had this idea that when you're working with a client, they are at their most vulnerable, really, emotionally and financially. The last thing they want to know, I think, is that you have some pain. So, of course, that was all neatly buttoned up and very compartmentalized. Personal was personal and business was business, and neither the twain shall meet.
Right.
But what has happened is in my unpacking, in my deep excavation, and in the deep work that I've done, not only do I understand the universe is conspiring to provide me every single day, but even my clients, I am much closer with them. They feel that I've given them permission to share with me way beyond business. And so this is a deeper, richer life, nothing to do with money.
Hi, my friend. Kavita here. Do you often feel blocked from moving forward? We all feel that way at times. These are referred to as energy blocks. I've created a short, actionable PDF guide to help you release your negative energy blocks. Click the link in the description to download it now for free. Now, let's get back to the episode. I love that. I love that so much because I just believe in the energy of the universe as we talk about. And I love that. And I also love the fact that, because you talked about this earlier, it's kind of like breadcrumbs in a way, or it's kind of like what you were, some of the skills that you had in your corporate work. You mentioned soft skills, and you applied those in your new environment, and you also learned new things based on the major shift that you had when you became a widow. So all these skills and your life experiences, you brought them together into this new thing, into your new future, which is so important. I think that we really have to sit back, and it's such a great lesson because we have to sit back and go, well, what was I good at before? And how can I take my life experiences and learn from it? And as you said, be vulnerable and move forward. And it may not be exactly what I was doing before, but I'm applying it into this new thing, and look how successful and like it's success, of course, but it's also the connection with your clients. So I don't know if that made sense, but I'm just talking about.
It does make sense. And I'll tell you why. The interesting thing about the fashion business, there are two things that I brought with me. One is I brought me to the table. And when you think about the challenges, never mind learning a new business, learning the law that surrounds these major transactions involving millions and millions of dollars, learning the law surrounding zoning and provincial and federal jurisdictions and legislation. Those are all challenges. But I found that I'm part of the largest real estate board in the world.
Is that right?
In the world. Now, this is off-putting enough, right?
Right.
But the one thing I always understood is that there was no other me. There was only one me. And I was able, not because I planned it, I'm not that smart. I realized day by day by day, year after year after year, that I was bringing more and more of me, particularly in the last 5 years, the total me, to the table. And what that meant is that I had complete empathy for my clients. That's key. I understood how to listen to their fears. I've been there. I've made that move. I knew that there was a shiny outcome on the other side by showing them how to overcome those fears and giving them comfort and guidance like a Sherpa going up the mountaintop. So I really was acting with each of my clients the way I wanted to be acted with and for. And so just treating them the way I would want to be treated and reassured and supplied with knowledge and expertise and the right numbers and the right strategy, which I love. I brought all that from my corporate business. So the numbers, the negotiation, the strategies, that's the fun part.
Right.
Nerve-wracking, but fun.
Yes.
And so bringing all these pieces together has created what I call a very successful business model and a very successful career for me.
Fantastic. Can you be my realtor?
Oh my God, I would love it.
I love that. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Jill. Those lessons are incredible for people who are looking at doing something different, because it's always good to lean in and figure out what it is that you can offer the world.
Right.
I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about your clients, and you do represent seniors in real estate in Toronto. And you describe your tribe as an underserved community of widowed women, often in their most vulnerable stages of life. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit in talking about the isms that we have in our society, and specifically the ism of ageism. And I'm not sure if you might have heard my podcast with Ashton Applewhite most recently. And she is an expert on ageism and how it still remains such a prejudice in our society. And tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on that, and how can we overcome this?
Well,
that's a big, tall order, but
I'll tell you what I think about that. I did listen to the podcast and I found it fascinating, particularly the stats on women and divorce and all of that. Mm-hmm. So here's what I think about ageism. For sure, I was perceived at the age of 58, 59, 60 as unemployable. There is no question about that. It's also why I didn't want to go through the normal vetting with counselors and all that kind of thing. I knew that ageism was a big deal, and I decided to go around it. And interestingly enough, the industry that I'm in doesn't have a glass ceiling. Mm. This is the first job position that I've had. I'm now 77 years of age, so I have worked for half a century, longer. And I have never been in a situation that was not patriarchal, sexist, ageist, all of the things, all of the isms we know about. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Ageism is collective. It is generational. It is institutional. It is here to stay as far as my lifetime is concerned. It's very, very, very embedded in the culture. I can't afford to pay attention to it.
Right.
So I don't. I'm in an industry where being female, and particularly a senior female, is an advantage.
Really?
So I landed here being guided by the universe, but I don't pay attention to it. And I also self-proclaim myself to be sort of the poster girl for what 77 can look like.
Absolutely.
Can do,
yes.
Can be. The secret sauce is to fill your own tank first, and then you can look after everybody else.
That is so true. Fill your own tank first. Absolutely. And how do you do that?
It's an interesting thing. I don't know why. I think I was born this way, actually. I have always, since I was a little girl, understood that if it's not me that's going to look after me, who would and who should?
Right.
If it's not me who doesn't love me most, who would and who should? I've always known that. And so even when I got married and I had my son, of whom I'm most proud, I let my husband and my son know that it's Jill first, then it's child second, and unfortunately, it's husband third, and then all the rest can line up.
Right.
And I've always known that, and I've always acted that way. And to this day, I will tell you something I'm uniquely proud of. I was dealing with a medical specialist for some testing, and it was virtual, of course, and it was during COVID. And he leaned in and he said to me, "How old are you?" And I said, I'm 76 years old. And he said, "You have the blood work of a teenager."
Oh my goodness.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. At that moment,
yeah,
it was my realization in looking after myself first, my health, my exercise, my mental, my emotional, all of the my's, safeguarding that and respecting it has been the proof of Today,
Yes.
I'm full of energy and have no plans to retire. And that's the secret sauce.
Wonderful.
You first, everybody else lines up.
Wonderful. I like to refer, that it sounds like there's a concept called the wheel of life. I'm sure you might have heard of it. So basically in this, if you look at life and if in segments, like in different areas of your life, like your relationships or your health or your career, right? And if one of those segments is not balanced with the other, then it's just going to be a really bumpy ride, right? So
Right.
if you make sure that each of those elements is consistent, like it seems like you have, but it starts from your inner work first, like understanding yourself and looking after yourself first. And then the other things will fall into place in that wheel and it'll just ride smoother. And the fact that you look incredible, you have so much energy and you've achieved so much. And I'm talking about awards and designations that maybe you can tell us about that. But you've talked a little bit about how you've been successful. And I wanted to kind of hone in on that a little bit because women, especially, as you know, have always, well, not always, but many times they feel that they're not enough, right? And they feel as though they can't do that thing that they really want to do. And it seems like you probably had some of that, but you didn't listen to it. So is there any words of wisdom that you can impart to women who are saying, yeah, I know I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not beautiful enough, whatever the enoughs are, right?
I haven't always been as good at it as I am today. So that's the first thing, that apart from wanting to be the poster girl for other women, to let them know that this is what senior age can be like if you choose it. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I would like to do is I would like to be able to encourage women to do the things they need to do earlier than I did. So I think that I was born with a kind of appreciation for myself. I've always been like that. I didn't grow up thinking that I wasn't enough. I just didn't. Mm. And it's not that my parents were encouraging me and telling me you can do anything. It wasn't like that at all. We were a family of 7 children. I hardly saw my parents. It was such a busy, crazy life. But I think in that void of growing up with me and doing things for myself because everyone else was too busy, I think that's what created this comfort with myself. Mm. And awards and designations, they're wonderful, and I'm very, very grateful for them, but they are the byproduct. They are not my why. They are the byproduct of loving what I do. And when you love what you do with the people that you do it with,
yes, you
do well.
Yes, I can attest to that. Yes.
That's what right.
Absolutely. And I know that you have this quote, and I'll read it. It says, all things being equal, people do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust.
That's my motto. It's not mine. It's Bob Berg's, but I live by that.
Yeah. So you obviously, with your vulnerability, and I guess the word is relating to your clients the way you do because of your life experiences, what would you say? I know you talked about your health, but what are some of the other things you're proud of?
Well, I will say I'm first proud of my husband and I having raised a beautiful son who is giving and kind. And probably because of his mother, he's probably one of the greatest feminists I know. So I'm very proud of that.
Nice.
I'm proud of the fact that I took the risk, a lot of risks. The rewards were great. I'm proud of the fact that I was blessed with inner strength and I was blessed with the soft skills that I have. I don't know that those were learned, but I'm proud that I used them. Mm-hmm. And that I am becoming, because it's always a work in progress, exactly the kind of person I wished I could be.
Oh my goodness.
I have never been happier in my life.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. How nice is that to be able to say that?
I was shocked when it came out of don't forget, never mind the new work and all that, but having to move from my former home into Just Jill's nest, having to sort of navigate all the new life that I was going to have to adapt to. And everything about my life in the last 5 years has been change. And I'm here to say, and this is what I want to give to women, I want to share with women, is that it is so worth it. You need to trust in the times that are yet to come that you don't know.
Yes.
But they come with full love and full trust and a little bit of cojones.
Well, I mean, for people who are seeing this or even listening to it, you can feel that. I can see your energy and I can feel it and your love and your happiness. And that's just so wonderful to witness and at any age, but especially at your age. And that's such a role model. Honestly, it's really amazing.
Yeah, I want women to do it. I want all people, but I'm particularly, and always have been since I was a wee girl. I love women and I love girls and I love seeing them break through walls. I just love that. And so I just want everyone to have this earlier and to know that this is waiting for them.
Yes.
That this is waiting for you.
If not now, when, right? When are you going to do it?
That's right.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. Right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. What's next for you, Jill? What are your plans or what, any?
More of the same.
Yes.
I'm not tired of what I'm doing and I'm still good at it. I am balancing out my life a little better just in terms of allocating time for nature, time for yoga, time for friends, time for nothing.
Yes.
And time for work.
Just for being, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's a peaceful time. And I will add just one last little jewel that has come my way. With my calmness and my inner wisdom comes an amazing gift. In this business, things can go wrong, very quickly. Mm-hmm. And it can put a knot in your stomach. But I have noticed in the last 2 years, when things have not gone in quite the straight line that I wanted them to, that my response to these challenges is measured, strategic, never, woe is me, never, I'm screwed, none of that. Just, there's a solution, I see it, we will get there one step at a time. This is going to help me prepare for really, really old age, I believe.
Perfect.
That's an extra cherry on top.
That's wonderful. I don't even know how to top that. So,
well, thank God we're not in a competition. You're too young.
Lovely. It was just such a pleasure to speak with you and just to learn about how you've taken your life story. Really is just such an example and such an inspiration for many. And I hope that our listeners are going to take some of your pearls and learn from them and apply them into your life. And as you said, do it now. Don't wait.
Right.
If not now, when? So
tell everyone to get their bike out.
Yes. And listen to those signs.
That's
and
right.
Hear them. Yes.
Right.
Thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Kavita. I so enjoyed it.
Thanks so much. The title of this podcast says it all, in that I'm sure you will agree, Jill Lubinski really is a poster girl for becoming exactly the kind of person you wish you can be. With her major reinvention at the age of 60, Jill, now 77, is the happiest she has ever been. It was such a pleasure to learn from her on how, at any age, we can find internal peace and success. Her energy and enthusiasm for life is contagious, and it was an honor to have her on the show. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, when people believe in you, that is gas in your tank. Sometimes that is even more necessary than your own self-confidence. Number 2, listening to the universe and looking for signs is something to be developed, and it helped me to dig deep inside and to learn to lean in, be vulnerable, and to share. 3, The universe is conspiring to provide for us every single day. We just have to be aware of it. Number 4, the one thing I always understood is that there was no other me. There was only one me, and I was bringing the total me to the table. 5, ageism is collective. It is generally generational. It is institutional. It is here to stay, at least in my generation. It is very embedded in the culture. 6, the secret sauce to my 77 years is to fill your own tank first, and then you can look after everybody else. 7, if it's not me who's going to look after me, who would and who should? If it's not me who loves me, who would and who should? 8, when you love what you do with the people that you do it with, you do well. And 9, do the things you need to do earlier than I did. It's a work in progress, but become exactly the kind of person you wish you could be. I had the great pleasure of spending a week away last week with my wonderful husband celebrating our 28th wedding anniversary, and it was such a beautiful time to pause and reflect on all that I am grateful for. As I watched the vastness of the ocean, it reminded me of how tiny we really are in this universe of ours, but also about how we can still make a huge difference every single day. As we approach the end of the year, I hope you also take some time to reflect on what makes you happy and what you are grateful for. As we look into the new year and a new season of this podcast, I would love your feedback and recommendations on what you need from me. Do you like this format? What topics would you like to hear about? Drop me a line and I'd love to hear from you. I've also heard loud and clear from many of you that confidence is something that you need guidance on, and our offerings next year will have a distinct focus on confidence in midlife. Of course, our course, It's My Time Now, will help you gain the confidence in your next steps, and you can join our course with the links below. My personal coaching services will also do the same and help you move into higher levels of energy levels to tap into your true potential. You can contact me as well for more information. I'm also excited to announce a new initiative, which I will reveal around confidence, so stay tuned for all the details next week. Join our community at Power Purpose Play, and as Jill says, become exactly the kind of person you wish you can be. With all of my love and light, till next week, my friends, take care.